my name is Chef Chileshe Msonda, and I welcome you to yet another exciting class in our online classes. And today we are looking at yet another exciting recipe. The recipe for today is for simple pies, and for the simple pies I will introduce the ingredients that we need for this particular pie. So we're going to need to make this the crust. For the crust we require to have 1.5 cup of all-purpose flour. We require half a teaspoon of household sugar, 150 grams of chilled butter. We need half a cup of warm water, which is supposed to be cold water. We need half a teaspoon of salt, and we also require half a teaspoon of yeast. So to continue with what we need for this, for the ingredients that we have set, we also need to have something that we use for the filling. So for the filling we need chicken mince, a thickener, turmeric, cumin, spring onions, and additional spices to make our filling interesting. But to continue with, let's see what we have on the work surface area and come up with our crust before we can continue with the rest of the pie. I have here set my ingredients. We have the flour, we have the chilled butter, sugar, yeast, salt, the cold water, and our measuring cup as usual. So we have here the working surface already set. So I'll begin straight into the measurements of our dry ingredients. So I'll start with the flour, which is supposed to be leveled. So I measure and level the flour, which is supposed to be 1.5 cup. So that's 1 cup, and that's half cup, making it a total of 1.5 cup of flour. So I have this sieved, and I have always mentioned the reason for sieving your flour is to make sure there are no foreign particles or objects from the factory or within your storage area. So when that is done, I set aside my sieve. I go to the next ingredient that we need, that's yeast. So for yeast, we require half a teaspoon of yeast for this measurement. It's half a teaspoon. And for salt, we require half a teaspoon of salt. So that's half a teaspoon of salt leveled. Then we go to the sugar, which is supposed to be half a teaspoon as well. So the ratio is half to half for every other ingredient that is coming after. We mix all dry ingredients together. Like I said, this is a simple pie recipe. For the crust first, then we can see what we do with the filling for this particular pie. Okay, so the dry ingredients are fully mixed. We now go to the wet ingredients, which is supposed to be butter, 150 grams. So this is half of what we have already measured. 150 grams of chilled butter. So we are going to rub it in. So we rub it in to form more like a crumble. We rub it in to form more like a crumble for our crust. So as soon as that happens, we're going to add the rest of the ingredients, which is the water, to come up with a full dough for our pie crust. As the butter is fully mixed into your dry ingredients, you can begin gradually adding your water. So ensure that your water is ice cold as you're adding it to the rest of the ingredients. You don't need to over mix this dough, because your body temperature also tends to disturb the texture of the dough. So for the water, we need half a cup of water, which is ice cold water. Gently I measure it into the cup, half a cup, and gradually I add it to my dry ingredients. Gradually I add to my dry ingredients until I form a nice dough for my crust. This is a simple pie dough. You fold it nicely until it forms. Remember, the consistency of the dough does not need to be very soft. It does not need to be very hard. So it's a medium dough. but it should come together so that you're able to roll it. So at this point I add the next bit or the rest of the half cup of water that I had measured. So I get to add the rest of the water. At this point I dust in a bit of flour to help me fold it nicely and bring it together. So I dust in again and then a bit of flour to bring it together. As you can see now, the dough has come together and it has formed. All that is left is to rest it in the fridge or the chiller for the next 20 minutes until we come up with the filling as well. So, but for now, our dough is set. And as you can see, it's not very soft, it's not very hard, but it's a very nice pie dough and ready for use after the resting time is done of 20 to 25 minutes. So there is our dough. I'm going to nicely wrap it into a cling wrap and rest it in the fridge for the next 20 to 25 minutes. So onto a cling wrap, we rest it. So we rest it into a cling wrap for the next 25 or 20 minutes less until we come up with our filling and our dough will be ready for use. So this has to be kept in a chiller until that time is set. So this is our dough onto the chiller. Okay, so now we come here to a work surface area where we are working now on our filling for our pie. So I have here a bit of salt, a bit of chicken spice, turmeric, black pepper, a thickener, some bell peppers and some chicken. So I want to keep this filling as simple as possible, looking at the fact that we are looking at a very simple pie itself. So it's a chicken pie because the filling is chicken. So on to our first ingredient, I have some oil greased already on my pan. So the pan is already greased with oil and the gas is already on. So I start to fry the chicken on my greased pan and make sure it's well coated in oil so that it doesn't stick. As you may notice, if it doesn't coat well, then it will stick onto the pan. So just make sure it's well coated with oil so it doesn't stick on to the pan. But in an event where you're using a proper non-stick pan, you not expect any sticking to go on there as well. Okay, our next line of ingredients is the salt. So you have to season it with salt. Remember there's salt already in your crust, so this will be eaten as the final product of the pie, so you may want to control the salt levels there as well. Okay. So these are small cubes, very, very tiny cubes, but if you want you can make them smaller. Then I go to my chicken spice. Remember, certain spices have salt in them, so this is why you have to be conscious when it comes to salt. Turmeric, bit of pepper, wow, it smells good in here. The aroma is enticing. So I bring everything else together so it fully coats on the chicken. Now remember, I'm going to stop the cooking for some time. Bring this back to a chopping board. Chop it into fine pieces that are good enough for my simple mini pies. But for now, let's cook it a bit. So I've just fine chopped the chicken so that it befits the mini pies that I'll be making. Okay, and it's back to the pan to continue the cooking. So it's easier to chop when it's halfway cooked. Bit of water just to give it more of a cook. Bring it together, shake it up a little bit. At this point, I toss in my bell peppers, which don't need to cook so much because I need to maintain the flavor. Remember, there's another baking process to this. I reduce the heat at this point. For that thickener, I get half a teaspoon of flour, half a teaspoon of Bisto thickener, and I add some water to it. About 3 tablespoons of water. I mix it up and I add it to my filling. As soon as it mixes a bit, I add in a bit of water again. I graze the pan for that flavor that is stuck. So this is come together into a paste, thickened. And there you have it. My filling for the day is ready. So now we're going to go back to our work surface area where we're going to cut the pies and do the filling as well. It's been resting and our stuffing is ready. So we continue with the process of our simple pies. So this is how the dough has to look like after that resting time in the fridge for about 20 minutes of time. Okay, just spread it out nicely, set aside. Dust your rolling surface. Of course, dust your rolling pin as well. Okay, as soon as that is in place, you're good to go. So what I'm going to do is lay our dough on the surface using a rolling pin. Begin to roll out our simple crust dough. Okay. Okay, so as soon as that is done, as you can see, the dough is nice, smooth, proper thickness, about 1 inch. All right, so we're going to cut out using my simple cutter here, round cutter. Remember, your off cut is not wastage. You still have to roll this out again and form more of that dough. But for now, we'll work with what we have. Take off the excess flour, turn it to the side which you think is more smooth than the other, because that will be the outer side. Okay, so here's our filling, chicken filling. Onto the center, a teaspoon. Nice. So using the back of my fork, I'm going to have a bit of flour on the surface here. Put my fork there. Now this is where you fold. You fold it in half. Make sure the stuffing is on the center. Dust your fork a bit, then close it up completely. Nicely minding where the filling is. Make sure all edges are closed, nicely closed, and you have your mini pie. Sage dust out a bit. There you have it. That is your simple pie closed up. Back of the fork around the edges. There you have it. Your simple pies are on there. So using an egg separator, I'm going to break and separate my egg. So that's my egg separator. So all I need from this egg is the egg yolk. So I'm going to make sure I drain off all the white. Then have my egg yolk set aside separately. Okay, then after I'm going to beat the yolk, and I'm going to add a bit of milk to it. So after fully mixing, I'm going to gradually add my milk to it so that I maintain a nice yellow color, not a very sharp one, because if I apply the direct egg, that would mean that when it cooks, it may look burnt. So I want to reduce the color of the egg yolk slightly lighter with the milk. Okay, that is something that I'm looking for, that sort of yellow. And I'm going to egg wash my pies, and on they go to the preheated oven up to 180 degrees. They're going to bake there for at least 20 to 25 minutes, and after then good to go. So just make sure they are well egg washed all the way, like all the way. Just make sure they are well egg washed all the way. Properly egg washed. So you can see that one egg yolk is able to take me through all the pieces of pie that I have on the tray. And 1.5 cup of flour is able to give me this number of pies, which is about 10 pieces of the mini pies. Okay, so when that is set and done, this is ready to go in the oven, as you can see. So this is onto the oven now for the next 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, so it's been 20 minutes past and the bell is off. And